Hey y'all, it's Sarah, and I look really short. Oh well, it's Sarah, and I thought I'd jump on with a little microscopic colitis update. Woo! I know it's been a while, and I said I was going to update, but I was waiting until I had my appointment with the gastroenterologist, and I did today, so I've got updates. So, long story short, colitis has been getting a little bit better. The medication called mesalamine that I've been on has certainly been helping with some of the symptoms. So I'm really thankful for that. I'm not going to get into symptoms, don't worry. So that's been good. And on top of that, I have been doing a lot of work with my dietitian on nutrients and on diet. I'll talk a little bit about diet in a minute, but also about some different supplements. But the problem has been, even though things have gotten generally better, I feel like I've just stalled a little bit. And I've also been having some new really weird symptoms, and they're different symptoms. So things like upper abdominal pain, so like up in here on the right side of the body, feeling really full, even when I don't eat a lot anymore, because I just don't have the hunger like I want. And then, like, as the day goes on, I get super bloated. This is the fun of my life, but it's super painful. So these are significantly different symptoms from the colitis. And some of the symptoms from the colitis just haven't gotten better. This is the problem with a lot of things that are related to gut health. So many different things, symptoms have overlap. So is it IBS? Is it colitis? Is it something else entirely? There are certain symptoms that are more unique. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, I haven't had any of those. So it's possible, or a working theory from my GP and my dietitian is like there's a secondary thing going on. What in the world could that be? I had no idea. I had really focused in on the colitis. Haven't had another colonoscopy or endoscopy, so I don't have any other additional information there. It could be the result of all of this is getting another procedure just to make sure that nothing else is visible in the intestines, but we're not there yet. My dietitian recommended doing a test. I don't remember the name of the diagnostic company, but it's called GutZoomer. And basically it's mapping the microbiome. I mentioned this, I think, in a previous video. So I got that back, and it's 29 pages of data, which is exciting, but it's also a little bit overwhelming. And as I'm starting to understand, as I understand now from my primary care physician and my gastroenterologist, they kind of give this stuff the side eye in that a lot of it's pretty experimental. The N counts aren't super high. None of it's really diagnostic, it's correlation. So in looking at the report, I had markers for things that we knew I would have for, such as like inflammation, but there were some other things that caused her concern. One was around bile and bile acid. So if you remember when I was saying cholestyramine, that bound bile acid, this particular test suggests that I actually might have the opposite problem, which is not enough bile. And again, bile is breaking down fats and things in the intestine, and then it's reabsorbed into the body. This is interesting to me because of two things. This shows my ignorance, but here we go. This is where the gallbladder is located. So it's in that part of the body. It could be that the gallbladder is inflamed or that I have gallstones. And that wouldn't be a surprise. My grandma had this very challenge herself. So there could be some history to that. It also could be that just nothing is wrong per se, but my body is just not releasing enough bile to digest all of my food properly. And so then even if I take mesalamine, it's still going to irritate my intestines. So I'm going to get an ultrasound to check that out. But if it still doesn't improve, there are things called bile salts, and that is for people who don't produce enough bile. Evidently, I'm learning a lot. The second thing that they had brought up was something called SIBO, which is small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And SIBO is, oh boy, there's a lot of different information about SIBO and a lot of disagreements about SIBO. But basically what happens is at the lower opening of the stomach, the beginning of the small intestine, you have too much bacteria, they've gotten super happy, and they have a big party. And that causes a whole host of problems. A lot of those symptoms are the ones that I have, especially something like feeling really full after you eat. And I'm talking about I have like a middle-sized plate and I feel just like I ate Thanksgiving dinner. So that's weird. SIBO is difficult to test for. You get a lot of false negatives, but you might have heard of this. It's a breath test. So you drink some sort of, I guess it's glucose. You can also do lactulose, fructose, lactose. There's other drinks that you take. So it's a breath test. You take this drink and then they measure, this is embarrassing. I don't even know what they measure in your breath. They measure your breath for several hours. So it's not necessarily conclusive, but it could rule out. Again, there's more false negatives than false positives. So that's the second test. And then also he is interested in pancreatic enzymes. My dietitian seems to think my pancreas is fine. He's not sure. And this is, I think, the broader thing. So I was meeting with my gastro today, Dr. B, love Dr. B. And I was sharing my report and he was getting a little frustrated by it. And was saying like, well, it's pretty unlikely that you would have two things at once. And I just felt this come over myself. I started crying. And I just thought, I'm so thankful. I certainly feel better than I did. A lot of my symptoms have improved. I know the mesalamine is working, but something's not right. You know, I know something's not right in my body. Something's weird. And I said, I'm committed to figuring out what this is. I'm asking for your help to help me figure out what this is. And he's a very kind person. His tenor changed, and it was just basically saying, I don't understand the tests. I'm trying to understand what markers to look for. And if this microbiome test is not correct, let me know. You might hear the sadness in my voice, and it's that I have all of these great practitioners, and sometimes it's like French speaking to Greek. And just, would you please talk to each other? People come from different backgrounds and different disciplines. So it's kind of a well-known thing. Gastroenterology operates pretty differently than functional medicine, naturopaths, dietitians, a whole bunch of other people in that space. It's a very specific discipline. And I say this, my father-in-law is a gastroenterologist, he's a surgeon for gastroenterology. So we have lots of conversations about that in our house. Long story short, it ended up being all right because I've got my new labs, my new tests, my breath test, my ultrasound coming up to see what the heck can we figure out what's going on. It could be IBS, which I know I've had. It's never been like this, but that could be it too. So I feel like, might not sound like it, but I feel some relief because we have a direction. Again, I knew coming into this it would take a while. It's been 3 months off of steroids now. So I knew it could just be also my body recovering. So I've got 6 more months in that. That being said, it seems odd to me not to rule out some things and to say, okay, we can look and see your gallbladder's healthy, because that can go sideways real fast if something's gone wrong. So I'm really thankful about that. I want to talk briefly about supplements. So I'm learning way more than I ever wanted to know about supplements, and learning about things like digestive bitters, learning about short chain fatty acids, about fish oils, about, I can't even remember all of the other ones. And that is really a minefield. Interestingly, when I stopped taking the digestive bitters, my symptoms are starting to get a little bit better. So that is because digestive bitters are not necessarily a good fit for people who don't have enough bile acid. So it's really changed my perspective on medicine. I really thought it used to be, my previous thought was, well, you can diagnose this thing and here it is. That could be the case. If you have diabetes and your blood sugar is high, it's a pretty clear connection to say, we can put these together. Or if you fall and break your hip, well, yeah, there's a surgery that we do to fix that. But with so many things you just learn, there's so much more to it. So I'm thankful for that. On the nutrition front, I am very, 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 very slowly expanding my diet and being very, very cautious with it. And the challenge is that depletes nutrients. So I've got another task coming up for micronutrient panel. Fun fact, there are people who come to your house and will draw your blood, which I'm never going to LabCorp again. When I heard that, I thought, oh, that would be so much better. So I'm really excited to get some more results on that, because if I'm deficient in some of these really important vitamins, because I can't get all of the food and minerals, or all the minerals and vitamins from food that I need, then we can, do a therapeutic dose of supplements. And in the meantime, that was a lot, and I'm talking really fast, but that's okay. I should do another, I would like to do another update on therapy and all the lifestyle things that I've been doing. So hopefully next week I'll do an Adventures in Anxiety update to share what that's like. But just wanted to come on and share what it's been like in this journey. Chronic illness is tough. That's what I'm learning. It's really, really tough. So I am super thankful for my physicians and my team who've been helping me through this, and my husband, who's my number one supporter, so kind in caring about this. And so it's a lot of learning. Pretty transformational period. Okay, so that's it for me. Microscopic colitis journey continues. Still dealing with a lot of things, but moving in the right direction. So I'll be back soon, y'all, to share more about anxiety. All right, be safe, be well. Bye.